In just 5 minutes, one Foreign Office audit destroyed Britain's most powerful black politician. I've covered 412 parliamentary sessions. I've witnessed ministerial resignations, corruption exposures, career assassinations. But what happened at 3:42 p.m. on December 3rd in Committee Room 14 wasn't just oversight. It was systematic evisceration of David Lammy by a woman who had built an unbreakable case of Commonwealth aid fraud, exposing the biggest post-colonial betrayal in British politics. Kemi Badenoch walked into the Foreign Affairs Committee carrying a locked diplomatic pouch. She looked like an international prosecutor who had assembled evidence to destroy a criminal network built on exploiting former colonies. What none of us knew was that pouch contained audit documents exposing $9.8 billion in aid misallocation to shell companies controlled by Lammy's network. But she didn't open it immediately. The silence before evisceration was suffocating. Committee Room 114 went quiet. Not respectful procedure, but deadly silence when everyone knows they're witnessing a ministerial career ending. At 3:41 p.m., Lammy's private secretary received an urgent encrypted message. Her expression transformed from confident to horrified as she whispered something panicked to the foreign secretary. Lammy's diplomatic authority cracked. His Commonwealth advisor was frantically checking emergency communications. He looked like someone who knew 15 years of post-colonial credibility was about to be exposed as the biggest aid fraud in Foreign Office history. And then Badenoch unlocked her diplomatic pouch. "Foreign Secretary," she began, her voice carrying authority that commanded attention. "I want to discuss Commonwealth development aid and disturbing financial irregularities brought to my attention through Foreign Office intelligence cooperation." Standard opening. Nothing threatening. Lammy looked relieved, confident. His media team were preparing standard responses about conservative attacks on development aid. But Badenoch's pouch was positioned precisely, open to a tab with Foreign Office and Audit Office seals. This wasn't routine questioning. This was systematic aid prosecution. "Prime Minister," Lammy replied in his Tottenham accent, "this government remains committed to supporting Commonwealth development partnerships that reflect our shared values and historical responsibilities." Perfect deflection. But Badenoch wasn't interested in development debates. She was building towards something devastating. "Foreign Secretary," she said, removing a document, "are you familiar with the Commonwealth Development Facilitation Office, established in Port Louis, Mauritius, on March?" The question hit the committee like diplomatic dynamite. Lammy's expression didn't change, but his hands went rigid. When foreign secretaries' hands stop moving during aid discussions, their survival instincts have activated. "Prime Minister," Lammy replied, maintaining composure but lacking confidence, "the Foreign Office works with numerous development coordination bodies as part of our comprehensive approach to Commonwealth partnership." Wrong answer. Catastrophic. When asked about a specific development office, generic answers suggest massive cover-up. Badenoch pulled out a second document with Audit Office investigation stamps visible to cameras. "Foreign Secretary," she continued, gaining momentum. "According to these audit documents, the Commonwealth Development Facilitation Office has processed £9.8 billion in UK development aid since A shockwave rippled through observers. $9.8 billion are represented nearly a quarter of Britain's entire development aid budget. But Badenoch was just beginning her systematic evisceration. "And Foreign Secretary," she said, producing a third document, "these audit files show that only £1.2 billion of those funds ever reached their intended Commonwealth development recipients." The committee fell silent. Not courtesy. This was MPs processing information that could destroy careers and trigger criminal investigations. Lammy's Commonwealth advisor leaned forward, his diplomatic training inadequate for criminal allegations. His media handler stopped checking her phone, staring at Badenoch with disaster shock. "That," Lammy shot forward, his diplomatic composure evaporating. "Prime Minister, These allegations represent serious mischaracterization of legitimate Commonwealth development coordination processes. Foreign Secretary Badenoch interrupted, cutting through the protest. Are you denying that you personally signed authorization documents for $8.6 billion in development funds that have disappeared from official audit trails? Silence. Absolute silence. For 18 seconds, I counted. Lammy said nothing. 18 seconds equals admission of guilt in high-stakes committee proceedings. When he finally spoke, his voice had changed. The confident Foreign Secretary was gone, replaced by panic with a North London accent. I signed numerous authorization documents as part of development coordination responsibilities. I cannot recall every specific funding arrangement. Devastating response. When a foreign secretary says, I cannot recall about £8.6 billion in missing development funds, it sounds like systematic aid fraud. Badenoch opened her pouch one final time and removed the smoking gun that ended Lammy's Commonwealth leadership. Foreign Secretary, she said, her voice carrying absolute authority. Perhaps this will help refresh your memory. She placed a photograph on the committee table. The image showed Lammy at an exclusive Barbados resort, relaxing with champagne, while Caribbean development officials were visible in the background. This photograph was taken at Sandy Lane Resort in Barbados on August 12, 2023. The same weekend that $2.4 billion in Commonwealth development funds were transferred to accounts our auditors cannot trace. The timing was devastating. Same weekend, same location, same luxury. This wasn't Commonwealth development. This was documented personal enrichment, while secretly stealing aid meant for former colonies. Lammy's face drained of color. His hands were now visibly shaking. Not diplomatic nervousness, actual trembling visible to every camera. His diplomatic team was typing frantically, sending emergency damage control instructions to every Foreign Office post and Commonwealth High Commission. But Badenoch wasn't finished eviscerating him. Foreign Secretary, she continued, producing another document with serious fraud office seals. I also have internal Foreign Office communications showing you personally overruled development audit recommendations that flagged the Commonwealth Development Facilitation Office as a potential fraud operation. At 3:47 p.m., 5 minutes after she'd begun speaking, David Lammy experienced complete post-colonial political breakdown. His voice was barely audible through committee microphones. Prime Minister, these documents lack proper diplomatic context. Commonwealth development requires complex coordination arrangements. He stopped mid-sentence. 21 seconds of silence. I've never seen a foreign secretary unable to complete a sentence during committee proceedings. The silence was broken by Badenoch's calm response. Foreign Secretary, I'm not questioning complex coordination arrangements. I'm questioning $8.6 billion in Commonwealth development funds that disappeared while former colonies suffered poverty. The accusation hung in the room like diplomatic poison. This wasn't about development policy. This was systematic betrayal of post-colonial responsibility by the minister who claimed to champion Commonwealth justice, while secretly enriching himself through aid meant for the world's poorest people. Furthermore, Badenoch continued, opening her final folder, Foreign Office Analysis, confirms that these missing Commonwealth development funds were systematically diverted to accounts controlled by luxury resort networks throughout the Caribbean and Indian Ocean. This wasn't isolated fraud. This was criminal enterprise designed to enrich British officials through aid meant to help Commonwealth development, while former colonies remained in poverty. At 3:48 p.m., Lammy made the decision that ended his Commonwealth political credibility. We will need to review these allegations with our legal teams and provide appropriate responses through established Foreign Office procedures. Wrong answer. Politically fatal. When accused of systematically stealing $8.6 billion in Commonwealth development aid, you don't promise to review allegations, you categorically deny or admit guilt. Promising procedural review sounds like buying time to hide evidence. The committee chamber erupted in chaos. Conservative MPs demanded immediate resignation. Labour members stared at phones, reading urgent messages from party headquarters. Some quietly left, strategic retreat from a sinking minister. Foreign correspondents were typing frantically. The Guardian's diplomatic editor spoke urgently. This could end Lammy's foreign secretary career. We're watching Labour's post-colonial credibility collapse in real time. As the committee concluded, I overheard conversations confirming everyone's thoughts. He's finished. Serious fraud office investigation within hours. Commonwealth countries will never trust Britain again. The £9.8 billion Commonwealth aid fraud wasn't just about development coordination. It was about a post-colonial champion who had systematically betrayed the Commonwealth nations he claimed to support by stealing their development funds while they struggled with poverty. By 5:30 p.m., Lammy aid scandal was trending. By 6:15 p.m., the Serious Fraud Office confirmed immediate investigation. By 7:00 p.m., 8 Commonwealth High Commissioners demanded emergency Foreign Office meetings. Every major channel ran wall-to-wall Commonwealth Gate coverage, exposing the Foreign Secretary as an aid-stealing hypocrite who betrayed post-colonial responsibility for personal luxury. And it all started with one diplomatic pouch, carried by a woman who had built an unbreakable case against Labour's most prominent black politician. What I witnessed wasn't just committee procedure. It was the moment when audit evidence obliterated post-colonial authenticity, when documented fraud defeated Commonwealth theatre, and when forensic preparation destroyed anti-colonial identity. The Foreign Affairs Committee continued 30 minutes longer, but everyone knew the outcome. Lammy's credibility as Commonwealth champion was finished. His authority as Foreign Secretary was destroyed. Labour's post-colonial authenticity had shifted away from aid-stealing politicians. Sometimes diplomatic justice takes years through international investigations. Sometimes it takes 5 minutes in Committee Room 114. On December 3rd, I watched Kemi Badenoch prove that in British politics, documented evidence always defeats post-colonial performance. The only question was how much damage Labour's Commonwealth betrayal would do to Britain's international reputation before the truth finished destroying Lammy's career. If this exposure of Commonwealth betrayal restored your faith in international accountability, don't just watch, like, share, and subscribe to our channel, where aid scandals get exposed and diplomatic lies get prosecuted. Hit the bell. The next aid fraud might involve your government's foreign aid. What would you do if you discovered your foreign secretary had been stealing aid meant for the world's poorest countries? Drop a comment below. This analysis is based on parliamentary committee proceedings and Foreign Office audit documentation. All dialogue and specific details are dramatized for educational and commentary purposes.